Good morning, gamers and followers. I'm Nosaj Ttimmed, and welcome into Nosaj Ttimmed Gaming. Okay, so I got that right. um, so yeah, we're gonna read Zodius chapter 13 today. Which isn't very long again, which is great. Because was it? No, that was yesterday. So we're reading Zodius chapter 14. My apologies. I have a habit of not knowing what I'm reading right now, and it's just because there's so many chapters within a single page. So like on this page there's two chapters. On here there's one, and then on like here there's multiple sections. So 14 is a bit long, but we'll go ahead and get started with this. So, all right. Crossing the sea. Oh, I gotta record this. Let me double check and make sure we're on 14 before I start reading, because yesterday when I did it, I recorded the wrong thing. So, yep, Exodus chapter 14. So, all right, let me go ahead and let me go ahead and hit record, and then we'll get started. Alrighty, everybody, welcome in to Nosaj Ttimmed Domain, and I'm Nosaj Ttimmed, and today we're reading Exodus chapter 14. And we'll do the normal here that we normally do with the whole like video or stream or anything like that. So let's just get into it. All right. Today we're reading Exodus chapter 14, Crossing the Sea. When Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them on the road through the Philistines' country, though that was shorter, for God said, if they face war, they might change their mind and return to Egypt. So God led the people around the desert toward the Red Sea. The Israelites went up out of Egypt ready for battle. So as they went out, they knew there was a war going on. So God's just like, what is going on? There's so much. I gotta do some dusting around here. There's a spider web hanging up. I also gotta get a vacuum and vacuum like the spider. If I find any spiders or anything like that. So, but anyway, God basically led these guys out of Egypt, and they were preparing for war also because they had no direction of where to go. So God's just trying to lead them around everything right now, so they don't get into war because you know, I I kind of wonder. They said there's a war going on. I kind of wonder what was going on elsewhere at this time because there's some things in here that'd be cool to hear about what was going on at the time in other places at the same time. But somebody explained to me you shouldn't be altering the Bible. So like what we could do is there could be like a book, a whole separate book beside the Bible of what happened during these time periods outside of what was going on in Egypt and stuff like that. You know, it'd be interesting to see like if the whole if there was like another like interesting like not I wouldn't call it a Bible, but like another book outside of the Bible that shows everything that was going on around the areas at the time because everybody had to have understood and know that there was God at this time. So there had to be more people in the world, you know, doing godly things at the time, especially it makes me curious as to what was going on here in America because the Native Americans lived here at the time, and for us to know what they were doing would be pretty awesome, actually. So, Moses took the bones of Joseph with him because Joseph had made the Israelites swear an oath. He had said, God will surely come to your aid, and then you must carry my bones up with you from this place. After leaving Shakath, they camped at Etham on the edge of the desert. By the day the Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud to guide them on their way by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so that they could travel by day or night. Neither the pillar or a cloud by day nor pillar of fire by night left its place in front of the people. So this whole time, they're able to look up in the sky and just see this like swirl going on, and that's what I pictured. A swirl of like fire just sitting in the air. That'd be wild to see. Just imagine if everybody saw that at one point. Like if God was like, okay, I really want to be visible, um, and I want to go ahead and I want to do something incredible for these people, and he was just like, okay, well, I'll do something out of nowhere and make them believe I exist. And that's part of what I believe that this whole like so how a while ago we had alien ships? I believe that was God doing something. And I believe if that was real, I believe I believe God made us at God I believe God wanted us to know that there's something bigger than us going on here. And the alien ships could just be a sign of God instead of aliens. Because think about it, God had just said he was going to do this to these people, okay? So we see things in the sky that look unfamiliar to us. Maybe we should just start assuming it's God and God's trying to talk to us because that's the only obvious truth. I mean, we want there to be life outside of other planets, but maybe we should think about God first. Maybe that's what God wants. Maybe God's just trying to give us signals that he exists instead of aliens. Maybe that's what it really is. Just some food for thought. The Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites to turn back and encamp near Pi Hathroth, between Migdol and the sea. They are encamped by the sea directly opposite of Baal Zephon. Pharaoh will think the Israelites are wandering around the land in confusion, hemmed by the desert, and I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue me. But I gain glory for myself. Though Pharaoh and all his army and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord." So the Israelites did this. When the king of Egypt told that the people fled that had when the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds about them and said, "What have we done? We have let the Israelites go and have lost their services." So he had his chariot made ready and took his army with him. He took 600 of the best chariots along with all the chariots of Egypt, which offers all over all of them, with officers over all of them. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, so that he pursued the Israelites, who were marching out boldly. The Egyptians, all Pharaoh's horses and chariots, horsemen and troops, persuaded the Israelites and overtook them as they camped by the sea near Pi Hahiroth, opposite of Baal Zephon. So Pharaoh's like, man, I gotta get these people back. So what he did is he pretty much loaded everything up, took his army, and they all went marching to find these people. Um, and that's what he's aiming to do right now. So I don't think I seriously like. I think this is the part where Moses really does some work. So we'll see that here in a second if it is happening. As Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up, and there were the Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified and cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, "Was it because there was no graves in Egypt? What you brought us to the desert to die?" Uh, Hang on. There were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die. What have you done by bringing us out to the desert of Egypt? Didn't we say to you in Egypt, Leave alone, leave us alone, let us serve Egyptians? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert. So, um, it looks like they're complaining to. It's like they're complaining to Moses at this point. Yeah, they're complaining to Moses about why are you taking us out this far? Because there's nothing here for us in case we die. What if we die here? It would have been better to like be around the Egyptians and get buried there than it would be in a desert here. So that they're all just complaining to Moses right now. Moses answered the people, "Do not be afraid, stand firm, and you will see the deliverance of the Lord. Deliverance the Lord will bring to you today. The Egyptians, the Egyptians you see today will never be seen again. The Lord will fight for you, and for you, you need only to be still." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. Raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water, so that the Israelites can go through the sea on the dry ground. I will harden the heart of Egyptians so they will go after them, and I will gain glory through Pharaoh and all his army, through his chariots and his horsemen. The Egyptians will know that I am the Lord when I gain glory through Pharaoh, his chariots and horsemen." So the Lord's telling Moses, "Hey, you know what I need you to do instead of babbling on here? I want you to place your staff in the ground and open up that sea, brother. And I want you guys to just run through, and then I'm gonna go ahead and hit Pharaoh and his tribe with the ocean. So I'll close it back up when everybody gets to the end of the Red Sea." So that's what God's saying to him. Then the angel of God, who had been traveling in front of Israel's army, withdrew and went behind them. The pillar of cloud also moved in front of them and stood behind them, coming between the armies of Egypt and Israel. So, yeah, that's some wild stuff going on there. Even the pillar of cloud just like is cutting, like he's coming through between Israel and in Egypt, the army of Egypt, and then we got the angel behind them. The angels are destructive. They're destructive. Like those are things that even hearing what they did when that man came and like tried to have wanted to have sexual intercourse with the men. They wiped out the whole entire city because over that. They didn't even need to lay a finger. They just like came, and when that happened, the angels like wiped out everything because the sins were so bad back then that if there wasn't angels, we would have never seen that destruction of the city. And if God didn't exist, which God does exist, he basically he sends angels to destroy things that like need to be destroyed. And this is a moment where like you got some bad stuff going on, people being chased, your own people being chased. So God's sending down his army, which is a lot more powerful. One single angel is a lot more powerful than an army. Just remember that. Throughout the night, the cloud brought darkness to the one side and light to the other side. So neither went near the other all night, all night long. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all the night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned into a dry land. The waters were divided, and Israelites went through the sea on dry ground with a wall of water on the right and their left. So just imagine that. Like you walk through a giant aquarium. Okay. So this is bigger than an aquarium, okay? This is water that's so high you probably can't even see the top of it. All you do is you look up and you just see sky. So you can just imagine how scary that would be to walk through that, um, knowing that like even if Moses did it, God's still holding it up and God's gonna keep holding it up. But it's scary to think about you having to walk through that. Think about all the fish you see like hopping out of the walls and all that. Like just just a giant like giant fish or like the sharks, whales, stuff like that. This is the Red Sea we're talking about. So I don't know how many feet down the Red Sea is, but like just imagine how deep that is. The Egyptians persuade them, and all Pharaoh's horses and chariots and horsemen followed them into the sea. During the last watch of the night, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud of Egyptians' army and threw into confusion. He jammed the wheel of the chariot so that they had difficulty driving. An Egyptian said, Let's get away from the Israelites. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt. Then the Lord said to Moses, Stretch out your over over the sea, so that the water may flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horsemen. Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at daybreak the sea went back to its place. The Egyptians were fleeing toward it, and the Lord swept them into the sea. The water flowed back and covered the chariots and the horsemen. The entire army of Pharaoh had followed the Israelites into the sea. No one of them survived. But the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground with the wall of water on their right and left, and right on their right and on their left. The day the Lord saved Israel from the hand of Egyptians, and Israel saw that Egyptians lying dead on the shore, and when the Israelites saw the mighty hand of Lord display again, the Egyptians, the people feared the Lord, and put their trust in him and in Moses, and in Moses his servant. So everybody put their trust in Moses at that point because they saw what Moses did, and they're all just like, that's the end of the chapter. But they're all just like shocked and amazed that Moses was able to do that, and that just showed them that God really existed. And you know, um, I have a couple of stories myself that I couldn't believe my own eyes either. But hey, you know what? When God wants you to see something, He wants you to see something. Okay, and like I said, if you're trying to walk away from the Holy Spirit, there's gonna be something that's definitely gonna pull you back. You know, and I do believe all that alien stuff we hear about and all that. I believe that's God making His presence here on Earth. I don't believe those are actual. I don't believe. I can't find a way to say it, but for all we know, those could be angels trying to come here and protect this planet, because we have seen a lot of stuff going on lately that just is really bizarre, and within the past couple months fluctuating, we keep seeing weird stuff happening, and even myself, I've seen some pretty wild things happen in my own life that was very, want to say, biblical to me, in a sense of like not prophecies, but like just the idea that like some being much bigger than us exists that protects this planet, and it's really wild to think about, but like I don't believe those to be aliens. I believe those to be some sort of like angels or something more, because when you think about it, God can turn into a pillar of fire. God can turn into a pillar of light. All right? Angels, when you think about it, we have a depiction of them, but are they always going to be angels, or can they do that? I'm sure they can do that as well, because they're beings that are higher than us. All right? Think about it. Next time you see something that's alien related, think about it, because we hear this guy from Ancient Aliens talk about aliens all the time. And he even openly said it. Now, I stopped watching his show like years ago, and I don't even know if it exists. But there are incidences where he openly admits he thinks they're angels that have come to Earth. That's what he thinks they are. And now that I sit there and think about it, and we hear how Moses did this, and we had some other incidents so far in the Bible where angels came down to Earth and did something destructive to the guys that were being bad. Um, we could have presence of angels coming to Earth. Just something to think about. All right. So that's just something I want to throw out there. Anyway, I'm finished with this chapter. I'm gonna say a prayer and do my outro. So all right, Lord Jesus Christ, I pray to you today, for you to protect anybody that needs a wall or a barrier up. Put a barrier or wall up around them, Lord. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that need a very protective barrier. Put that armor on them, Lord. Um, and have them give them the feeling of wanting to pray today, and praying for that suit of armor also, Lord. Praying for your armor that's uncrackable, because I've experienced that the other day, and I told them, I was like, your armor is so powerful that it's unbreakable sometimes. But Lord, I want you to put that same feeling on them, that wall, that barrier, that armor, whatever it is you want to put on them, put it on them, Lord, and put that on me as well. Um, Lord, also, anybody that has lost some sort of relative as of recently, Lord, bless them today, and make sure they have a good day. Um, I want to say, part of this prayer is for Dreamcast guy, because he lost his mother. Part of this is for Melanie Mack. She lost her mother. So Lord, I'm praying for both of them that they get the blessings they deserve. And Lord, I'm going to keep continuing your path. I thank you for this path. I thank you for taking me on this journey and reading the Bible to people. And Lord, I will not fail every day. I will be uploading to this, whether it be a short or a chapter to the Bible or 2 chapters to the Bible. Lord, I plan on bringing you to the people and keep putting you on YouTube and keep, reaching out to every phone, every computer, every laptop. Lord, put me on those things so people know you exist. In Jesus' name, amen. So there you go. There you have it. If you like what you saw here, hit the like button. Also, if you need prayer requests, put them in my comment section. I'll pray for you. And also hit the subscribe button. If you did like this and you want to keep watching. And also, if you do subscribe, I can pray for you, and you can listen to Bible, and you will be blessed that way. And with that said, guys, I'm out of here. Also, hit the notification bell so you can get more of this from me. And I'm out of here. Take it easy, and God bless. All right, now we can go ahead and read today's news. That was actually, I like that chapter. I like that last chapter I read. It's very, 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 very intense and exhilarating at the same time, because we got to see a lot more drama going within the Bible. And there's chapters coming up. There's a whole book coming up called Judges that really, really has a lot of drama in it. So be ready for that one in the future. And and I'm gonna keep reading this to you guys. So hold on. Let me put this in my case. All right. All right, there we go. Now, let's get into the gaming news for the day. And there was somebody in here that listened. I'm glad they came in to listen. I don't know who it was, but yeah, it's pretty cool that they listened. All right, let's go over here. All right. So, today, yeah, my gaming channel here is like it's not doing too well right now. Like, I put a video up yesterday about something. It wasn't exactly video game related, but it made somebody unsubscribe to the channel, which I don't care. It's the fact that people got offended by something I said. That was just an open-minded discussion, you know. And my thing is like, I put that video up specifically yesterday because a lot of people are watching anime right now. A lot of people are watching anime, okay? And in most anime, you'll see it, but we have this young, small character, all right, that just seems to, for some reason, be the most important factor of the show, okay? The reality, the truth is, you put you put two fighters in a cage, okay? Let's just say you put Brock Lesnar and you put Andrew Tate in a cage. Who do you think is going to win that? Be honest. Who do you honestly think would win that? I'd put my money on Brock Lesnar because Brock Lesnar, even though the guy's built, he still would have some speed to him, and his punches would like break Andrew Tate. And that's why somebody like Andrew Tate could never win in a fight against Brock Lesnar. And that's why, in anime, they kind of portray it as like the small guy just because he's quick, he can, beat up people. The reality, the truth is, it's not that easy. Even if the guy is big and built, sometimes he might be able to take those hits. And then he might turn around and destroy the small guy, you know? And that's where anime's portraying the wrong message. And that's why I brought that up yesterday. But that really, really upset somebody that they unsubscribed to my channel and all that. I'm like, dude, you have no clue what anime has done to us. Like, it's kind of like put us in a spot where like it's really designed us to like it's really made us look at things differently, and it's sending out a bad message amongst Americans and stuff like that. So that's why I don't really like take offense if anybody like unsubscribes to the channel, because the reality of the truth is the person that disliked it was probably somebody who really likes anime, or somebody who is a small individual like that and got offended by what I say. Because when you look at it, the big guy is always end up being the bad guy, okay? And we see something like Berserk, where the big guy is the good guy, and I have no clue who he's fighting, but it looks like something I would watch because I would be able to see myself in something like that. And what I mean by myself is like a big brawlic guy who is kicking ass. That's what you want to see. You don't want to see these beta small guys kicking ass, because that just looks bizarre to begin with. Like, and the other reason they're kicking ass is because they have some inner power that unleashed. The reality of the truth is, little guys aren't going to have that. No offense, but little guys are breakable. Little guys, can't really fight like that. And it's amazing when it comes down to it what anime has taught us and the way we look at anime. And it really needs to start changing. I want to see more anime come out that's based on like the bigger guys kicking ass, because all these American heroes like Batman and Superman, they're a lot, for me, they're a lot more fathomable because they can kick ass. They can beat up they can beat up five guys and stuff like that all at once. Like, it's not impossible, especially when you're a big built guy, and it's just interesting to see how like the anime world has affected us here in America, and it's made everything just super bizarre and changed a lot of things for us. And that's why I put that video up yesterday. It's just something to take into consideration, but if it upsets you, that's fine. I don't mean to. I'm not going to be on your side all the time, but if I upset you and you unsubscribe, well, then that's your problem because I said something you didn't like. All right, let's face facts. A small guy is not going to win in a fight against the big guy. A brawler guy? No, it's not. It's never gonna happen. No matter how badly you think it is. Like, it's like a wet dream for a small. So anime is like a wet dream for a guy who's small. That's why we praise anime so much, because when you look at Americans, some of the males now, they're built really small. And that's part of our problem, and it's like a wet dream for those men because they're not big enough to stand up and stand for their own. So they look at it like, okay, the small guy's finally winning, blah blah blah. And the part of the message that I like is like it should be about the underdog. So, and that's what that is. It's about the underdog, but it puts out a bad message because the guys are always small. You want the guy to be big in your show, because if I ever got to the point of creating an anime, I always put myself in those things. So just guess what? I'd be the lead, and I'd be the one kicking ass, and I'd be the one beating all the people up, because that's just how it is. You want to see, most big guys should be like, I don't watch anime because of that reason anymore. And not only that, it does teach us a lot of like really, really bad messages. So it's just some food for thought. If whoever you were got offended yesterday or whatever, that's all you. But I'm just throwing that out there that's something that definitely needs to start changing within anime is like the way they portray the main character. We can't keep having that. That's not something that should be portrayed, especially here in America. And if at some point it gets to the point where what if America would like be like, well, we don't want that here in America anymore, and stuff like that. So then what we'd be seeing is we see the American heroes come back to the rise, and we see Batman, Superman, and all those characters that we knew as Americans. You know, we would see them more often, and part of it is an American man is built bigger than a Japanese man. No offense, but that's what they're betraying it as. They're betraying it as their own. So when you look at it, women who watch anime or girls that watch anime, they always look for those type of guys then, and it just comes off as really destructive to American men because American men, if you're American men from the early 90s, you're normally built. You're normally a lot bigger than those anime characters we see on the show. And it shows us the wrong thing. So it's just something that needs to be rethought before they send it out to us anymore because I really think that anime shouldn't be betraying like a whole American culture to things need to change. So, all right. All right. Rumored leaked Xbox controller could be officially revealed this year. All right. So I do like reading about these controllers. So, all right. Details about a potential reveal window for the leaked Xbox controller, codenamed Sibeli, have been given additional substance by an industry insider. The Sibel controller was just one part of a larger court document that leaked during the Xbox battle with the FTC over the $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard, which has since been finalized in Xbox favor. A cylinder-shaped disc display, Xbox Series X, and several years of Bethesda's development plans also appeared in the leaked document. Xbox unconfirmed Sibel controller had a dedicated visual graphics within the leaked court document, highlighting a number of devices' key features. Perhaps most notable is the inclusion of the precision haptic feedback, aided by the utilization of accelerometer. With this, it seems Sibel is attempting to provide Xbox users with a similar controller experience to that of its rival PlayStation DualSense, which launched with the PS5 back in 2020. However, Sibel Graphic didn't include plans to incorporate adaptive triggers, one of the most appreciated features of the PS5 DualSense. Several months after the leak containing Xbox Sibel controllers plans to hit the internet, an industry insider has shared when they expect the controller to be revealed on Twitter. Ideal Sloth pointed to a clip from a recent Xbox Era podcast, episode 1, where Tom Warner of The Verge chimed into the chat expressing that he suspects Sibel alleged May 2024 reveal from the document to be real. Warner also indicates that the information contained in the leaked Xbox versus FTC document graphic about the controller key features remains unchanged. All right. So that was in May 2024, which was like a few months back. So a Sibel reveal in May would join the release of Sona's Saga Hellblade 2 in the same month and would land just ahead of Xbox expected June 2024 Summer Games Fest showcase, even though Tom Warner has expressed the Sabel's feature from the leak haven't been changed. It's still possible that some features may have been cut or added considering the document is several years old. It's important to remember that the graphic in the document were never meant to be seen by the public, and that none of the details regarding the Sabel controller have been officially confirmed by Xbox, including the alleged May reveal. Whether adaptive triggers have been added or to Sabel remains to be seen, as it would be one of the more glaring omissions when inevitably compared to the PS5 3-year-old DualSense. If the May reveal does turn out to be true, Xbox fans may be getting their hands on the new Sabel controller in time for Xbox game like Indiana Jones and Great Circle and Avowed, which are both looking to release in 2024. It would also be interesting to see if any news about the rumored Elite edition of the Xbox controller is revealed as well, or if it'll be held for the holiday 2025. That's a long time to announce something. Like, people are going to forget about it by then. Like, and that's part of the reason people complain about stuff in the video game community. You have like I seriously thought Power World. Hold on, why did that happen? All right, I seriously thought this game Power World had been like out already. All right, so we have this going on. There's a lot of this. So all right, Pokemon Company's former top lawyers call Power World rip-off nonsense. So I'm gonna state this. We have a bunch of games out like this that are very, very similar. As for Power World, this right here, I can definitely see where they would be getting at, but like that is not Lucario. That is a different looking creature than Lucario. So it's kind of the same, and maybe there is something there that like should be looked at, because if you're taking AI, you can clearly adjust it to look like this. You can clearly adjust Lucario to look like this. And then, I'm going to say this, but what if there is something going on behind the scenes here where Game Freak had a little bit of a hand in this? Maybe there's a whole conspiracy behind this, because it just did so extremely well outside of Pokemon. And it's very weird, because what if we hear at some point that, this is just some food for thought, but what if we hear at some point that, somehow, like, Game Freak was involved in this? Game Freak, like, was the one who helped to make this whole thing. Now, I'm saying that as, like, it's just a thought, but I'm not saying it's actually true. It's just an idea. All right? Don McGowan, the Pokemon Company former chief legal officer, has labeled Power World as a ripoff of nonsense. His views on the hit survival game dovetail with some of the vocal Pokemon fans who are not happy about Power World and eager to criticize it and any chance they get. All right, so the original game, unveiled by Japan developer Pocket Pair in mid-2021, Power World is an open-world survival game with monster taming mechanics, whose early access version hit PC and Xbox consoles January 19th. Despite sharing more similarities with Craftopia, Pocket Pair's last title, than Pokemon, it has so far been proven to be unable to escape Pokemon with guns. Label attached to it by both critics and fans alike, but as the ongoing accusations of Power World ripping off Pokemon suggest, that description may not be completely baseless. Alright, So we have a game here that looks very, very similar to Pokemon. I'm not gonna lie, but it's not Pokemon. All right, they and you can't say it's a ripoff because that isn't Lucario that we're looking at up here. That's we're looking at a picture of a completely different Pokemon, which you know it has to look, but you have to remember how many different animals are in the world, and how many animals are you going to create that looks like this? How many are you going to create that look like that animal? Okay, so for instance, I could clearly take Pokemon. Pokemon has a bird. Okay, somebody else could draw a bird, and then I could draw a bird, and it look entirely different from what Pokemon is. And that's the point that's being made here. Is like people are looking at it as like, this oh, we stole your thing, but no, they actually didn't steal the thing. They didn't steal anything when it comes down to it. That model design right there, I don't know who that character is, but that model design right there is not Lucario. Lucario is this blue guy up here. I don't know who this is, but he's a lot cooler looking than Lucario, to be honest. I'd want to fight as him. That's pretty cool right there. I like this one. But this one right here, I've also always liked him. But there's a huge difference between the two because they don't look anything alike. The only thing that looks like it's like Lucario is the model design, which is like the outline of the character and the way the character looks. But they did some alterations to make sure it doesn't look like him. And that's where, like, when it comes to this argument, you have to look at it like that. It's not exactly a ripoff. If they were taking Lucario, so there's games on a phone all the time that if you go and you type in this, okay, I'm gonna make this clear because I think what's going on is somewhat kind of unfair, and it's an idea spin off of Pokemon, yes, but it isn't Pokemon. They didn't really steal any ideas from it when it comes down to it. Because you can take an idea that looks very similar to Pokemon and make a spin-off of it. So I'm going to stand for the side that is saying that this isn't Pokemon. A lot of these Pokemon people are crazy. So if we go and we type in Pokemon, all right? So you'll know that on your So, alright, never mind. Pokemon like game. Alright, so you have a whole bunch of game where if you go and you type in Pokemon like games, okay, you can come here and there's one instantly that's very similar to Pokemon. Okay, let me pull up my screen here. Let me pull up the bigger camera and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. So, alright, I'm in my screen right now. Alright, this is a game. It's literally called Evo Circo Pocket Monster, okay? And when you look at the game, when you look at everything, okay, you see completely, if it'll turn, okay. So let me pull it up a little bit more. All right, and we're gonna do something here. All right. Let me find a good picture to pull up because I don't want to get struck for copyright. But like, right here's an example of it, okay? It's not Pokemon, guys, but it's still basically the same thing. And we've seen this plenty times over where it'll look like Pokemon. As you can see, there's a battle system right there, but the buttons are different, okay? You can't sit there and say that's Pokemon because it's technically different. Just like this game right here we're talking about. Like, you can go and type in a lot of stuff on like Google. So we're gonna go down. We're gonna do something real quick, okay? Before we get back to this article. All right. All right, so Pokemon like games. All right, so we got a whole bunch here. Okay, so like this one right here, you look at it, and you can see the complete similarities of it. Like it looks exactly like Pokemon, battle stance, everything. All right, and then you got this one right here, which is a little bit different, not Pokemon. See, Pokemon clones, okay? We have to get it out of our heads that it's Pokemon because when you look at this here, it's not Pokemon, guys. Like we need to start understanding and grasping that concept of You can make a clone that looks like Pokemon, but you cannot get in trouble for making that clone because you altered a lot of stuff in the game, and so that's why I stand on the side of, I stand on the side of people, like right here. Let's see if I can pull
I'm
this up.
treating this like a murder case.
Let me exit this. I wanted to try to like view this, but you can see that if you literally can go and type it in, and you got Digimon would have like took a hit back then if people were making that big of a deal about it. Then you got Yokai Watch, which is very similar to Pokemon. When you look at it, Cassette Beast, another example of a game that got overlooked, but it was like considered as Pokemon, where you captured the Pokemon, you captured them on tape, cassette tape. So Ni no Kuni, I played Ni no Kuni, very similar to Pokemon. People need to stop complaining about this, okay? You go and type Pokemon like games, and you get a whole bunch of games that are very similar to Pokemon. Like, even when you look at it, a Dragon Quest right here had been around a lot longer than Pokemon, okay? Stop complaining about this, okay? This is something that we need to move on from, and something that we should not be like getting offended by, no matter how much you want to. All right, this is just seriously stupid, and people are taking offense to this like they own the Pokemon company. Okay, so McDowell, who worked as the Pokemon company's chief legal officer over a 12-year period ending in 2020, has now offered 2 cents on the ordeal. His 2 cents. Sorry. Speaking with the game files, Stephen Totillo McGow described Palworld as the usual rip-off nonsense that he used to encounter on a daily basis back when he was still with the Pokemon Company International. I'm just surprised it got this far. The industry veteran said it's unclear whether that remake was meant to imply Pokemon ripoff, usually fizzle out before release, or that McGow would look into suing Pocket Pair for copyright infringement. If he were still in charge of all Pokemon-related legal affairs. See, that don't even look like a Pokemon. That looks completely different. There's one that has some colors like that, but that don't look anything like the Pokemon that has that color. All right, the green and the black here, there's a Pokemon that looks like that. All right, now that I think about it, there's a bird, but it looks completely different, looks completely different. So McGow's former employee has so far remained mum on the topic on the hit game, seeing how Palworld has been sharing gameplay footage for years leading up to its early release access. The Pokemon Company, already ample time to prepare a copy infringement complaint, whether it decides against doing so because it wasn't convinced it had an ironclad case against Pocket Pair or so. Other reason is unclear, but there is little doubt that conglomerate has been aware of Palworld and its similarities to Pokemon for a long time now. So, let me check something real quick. Alright. Yep, people are already calling again. I'm gonna get a call like multiple times a day. I'm gonna look at my phone at like sometime late afternoon. I'll have like 3 different people have called me by then. And I don't know why. I don't know why everybody feels the need to call me so much. like at some point, because you keep ignoring it, you would think somebody would stop calling you, but it seems to go on and on and on that they don't listen. And like, it's like one of those people, you tell them to like, tell them once and they don't listen. You tell them again, they still don't listen. So they're going to continue to be stupid until they decide to give up on it. And that's part of the problem is like phones, like I have everything turned off on my phone completely. Notifications, everything right now. Just because I keep, the when people call me, I'll look at that number and I'll see it come up multiple times a day, and it's not the same number. It's like a genuinely off version of the same number that called me before. And you would think at some point they would just stop. But they have this idea in their head that, I don't know, they have this idea in their head that it's okay to call a person and that they're eventually going to pick up. And every time you do it, you have to think about this. I laugh at the idea that they might be on the other end just slamming their hands around. You're back, Pistolkin. I know you're joking with me, man. That's why I don't like. That's why I'm not gonna. That's why I'm not gonna get mad at you. The ongoing controversy has far generated quite a bit of toxic discourse online, which accumulated in the Power World developer getting death threats. That is insane. That is insane. People are throwing death threats at the company for making this game. That's how you know. That's how you know betas play this game. Okay, betas are the only ones that are willing to go out of their way over something and just throw death threats at people. Back in the day, before the internet became as big as it is right now, we didn't see people throwing death threats at somebody. Of course, who knows how long this insanity has been going on. It's kind of sad to see that. It's kind of sad to see that people are getting death threats over creating a game that wasn't all version. That wasn't even the same exact version. Power World in itself is its very own game. And all I gotta say is whoever's doing this, I hope they get arrested. I hope they get arrested. Because that's insane. From some seemingly disgruntled Pokemon fan. See? A Pokemon fan. Why are Pokemon... Man. Pokemon fans, look at me. You're all a bunch of betas. You're a bunch of crybabies. Somebody makes a game that's very comparable to Pokemon. You guys throw a conniption fit like it's the end of the world, like the rapture's coming. And I hope now that I see that, I hope this game does extremely well, and I hope the next Pokemon game just crashes. I hope the next Pokemon game is complete trash. It'd be even funnier if like Game Freak took over this project and ditched Pokemon in general, because you know what? I love Nintendo, but if you're gonna threaten people over this game, if I was Game Freak and I saw people threatening other people over this, I'd be like, okay, we're gonna ditch Pokemon now. That's what I would do. I would take over this. I would help these guys take over this project, work alongside with them, because they got a good idea going on here. It's just there's a lot of work that needs done to it. So, all right, Pocket Pair CEO Takuro Mizobe has subsequently taken to Twitter to condemn the harassment of his employees, stating that he is ultimately the one responsible for the game's content. Though some of its elements were seemingly designed as a parody of Pokemon, Power World has long been trying to distance itself from the comparison with Game Freak's hit franchise, and while its effort to do so have yielded little results so far, the game still manages to be a massive hit, blowing past 5 million sales following its launch weekend. So, if I was the CEO of the Pokemon company, which Nintendo owns, I'd be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do here, ladies and gentlemen. Since Pokemon isn't doing well, let's throw Pokemon in the trash and let's start having this game, because the adult people who like Pokemon are gonna play this game. And I would literally be like that. I would be like, you know what? Let's buy this game and like put it on our consoles, you know. And the day that happens would be amusing because that would crush every Pokemon player's heart. That would crush their heart. That would make them cry because the fact that they're tossing something so valuable to a bunch of betas in the trash and then bringing this game over with guns would be pretty amusing to see. If I was Nintendo, I'd be like, look, these guys want to act up and threaten people's life over this. Let's stop making Pokemon games and change it over to Power World and keep it that way. You know, have them work together, combine the forces instead of arguing, because your Pokemon fans are the biggest dweebs in the world, and they're probably like 40 years old sitting in their mom's basement playing a Pokemon game right now. You know, no offense to anybody that's playing Pokemon, because I pick a game up once in a while, but when it comes down to it, I didn't play any Pokemon game. If you look on my shelf, I have none. I only have Legends Arceus on a Nintendo Switch, and it's a digital version. All right, and I have not played the last two games that came out, and it's because of the fact that, like, you know, I'm a little past the age of where I enjoyed playing those games. Okay, Pokemon was a dumpster fire. The latest Pokemon game was an absolute dumpster fire. No offense to anybody that likes it, but hey, it was a complete dumpster fire when it first came out. Power World is still in beta testing and is doing extremely well for being in beta. All right. So when you look at that, when the game actually releases and is out of beta, there's gonna be a lot of people buying it, and it's gonna crush the Pokemon fans' heart. And if I was a Nintendo and I was Game Freak, I'd be like, okay, let's talk to these guys. They got an incredible idea. Let's bring them on board and let's all work together with them. So they'll combine forces to create this like ultimate Pokemon game. Because why is it that after Arceus, Game Freak's latest Pokemon game did horrid, okay? And then we have a game that comes out called Power World, which is very similar to Pokemon, that does extremely well. It just seems weird to me. Because it's timing, of course, but it seems weird that maybe it's time Pokemon gets retired, because you had that franchise running for like ever, okay? With Legend of Zelda, Mario, and all those games, you can create a story off of those, but you cannot keep creating Pokemon. You're gonna run out of ideas soon. All right? Think about it. You have probably 150 or more every single season that comes out. All right, I don't know how many actual Pokemon are out right now, but when you sit there and you think about it, this would be a direction to go. This would be a fresh new start for a game. Okay, this would be putting Pokemon to rest. All right, after it's been around for like 20 years, because you finally like, I'm not gonna lie, the Pokemon company has actually felt like it's officially ran out of ideas, because we haven't heard anything on a new game yet. And we usually do by now. We haven't even really heard anything about any new game coming out from Pokemon, okay? So, wouldn't it be funny if this was Game Freak's side company releasing this, and every Pokemon, and they just proved they can smash every Pokemon fan's heart? That'd be funny. I'd laugh at that. Like, and it's very, very odd, because when you look at Game Freak, okay? You look at Game Freak, and then you look at Pocket Pair. I'm getting a very similar vibe from the names there too. So think about it this way. What if Game Freak doesn't want to make Pokemon games anymore and they want to start everything over? Just some food for thought. But and also, what if they're tired of like coming out with ideas for Pokemon? Because now when you sit there and you look at it, we have probably over 1,000, okay? How far are you gonna go with that? Because you're making ridiculous stuff into Pokemon now, okay? Last time I remember, there was a washing machine as a Pokemon, which is totally impossible and cannot become an animal. But they managed to do it anyway because of a little character that goes inside of stuff and turns it into a Pokemon, which is bizarre in its own way. But when Pokemon first came out, it was all about capturing animals and collecting the animals, okay? now we're at a stage where we're doing some ridiculous stuff with Pokemon, and Pokemon has fallen off. I'm gonna admit, anybody that's a fan of Pokemon, you're in your 30s, brother. You're in your 30s or your 40s. It's time to retire that shit. And that's why maybe this is the next step. Maybe should be something Game Freak should get on and continue on with this. You know, I just can't. It's stupid to see people threatening these people over this, especially because, you know, you're such a beta. You're such a beta. You're a tight, skinny pants wearing, gene crushing, ball crushing beta. All right? Get over yourself. Go cry to your mommy with your Pokemon doll in your arm, get your Pikachu doll, and go cry to your mom. You know, Pokemon was big back then, but it's not as popular as it was. I didn't even pick the last game up. The last time I picked the Pokemon game up was because I was actually excited about it, and everybody openly admit that that was what Pokemon should have been back in the day, but we didn't have the graphics. All right, that's why I picked it up. Now we've had it come out, and the latest one is complete garbage because they kind of forced themselves out into bringing a new game out within the same year. Okay, and when you sit there and you think about it, you need to sit down and design and create new Pokemon. And how much further are you actually going to go with it? You know, when you sit there and, you know, isn't it kind of odd that Scarlet and Violet just kind of was a dumpster fire when it came out, and then we got Power World coming out and it does so extremely well? Sit there and think about that. You know, it's incredible because even a guy that used to work for them, he used to work for them. Look at that. Look at the evidence when it comes down to it. He used to work for them. So something tells me Game Freak is getting ready. It has wanted to retire Pokemon for a long time now. And they were just finding a right proper way to do it. And maybe, this is just a conspiracy. No, okay, let me put my tinfoil hat on. But maybe they changed their name up. Maybe they're playing themselves as a different company that came out with the game very similar. A more adult version of Pokemon to be played. Just some food for thought. I know it's a wild idea, but when you look at it, we haven't heard anything from Game Freak in months for the new Pokemon game. And the last time we heard about it, Black and White was supposed to come out. A Legend of Black and White. We haven't heard anything since then. We've been hearing about the DLC. All right, that's all we've been hearing about, but we haven't really heard about the next game that's coming out. So, this is just some food for thought, and this is just me throwing thoughts out there. But maybe this is Game Freak changing their name up and going away from the Pokemon name, because Pokemon needs retired at this point. You know, hate to say it, but people out there that act beta and get mad over this, you're the problem right now. You know, leave it go. I would never call a company up and threaten them for like creating a new game. I would like say something. I would reach out to them on Twitter and just say something, but I wouldn't threaten them. I'd be like, look, guys, your new product, it sucks. That's all I would say. So, all right. And with that said, guys, please realize that maybe it's time to retire Pokemon. Just something to realize because that game's been going on forever. And maybe it's time we got into a new era of capturing creatures and all that. You know, just something to think about. Anyway, take it easy. Have a good day. If you like this, please subscribe to the channel. I'll be back tomorrow. And more gaming news. I'm off again tomorrow, so you'll see me post a lot. And with that said, take it easy and God bless. Keep gaming.